Shalom. My name is Moray Ishaya Yisrael from the House of Israel in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you in 40 minutes or less. In 40 minutes or less, I will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt the word of Yahweh. Who is this Yahweh? Yahweh is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein. Yahweh is the Elohim of our fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yisrael, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahweh is our judge. Yahweh is our lawgiver. Yahweh is our king, who will save us. Shalom, and praise the mighty Yah. Welcome again to another program of 40 minutes or less. Today's program, we will deal with relationship part 2. Relationship part 2 will deal with a husband and a wife, which is the second most important relationship in the scriptures. As a matter of fact, it's the second relationship mentioned in the Holy Scriptures. And we're going to talk about it so that you are able to understand relationships. We dealt with Elohim and man. And again, it is essential that you understand this relationship between Elohim and man. And why? Because Elohim was called a husband. And what is a husband? A husband is a master. Elohim was said to be married. And what do that mean? It means master also. So now, and I was our heavenly husband. But now, we're talking about a earthly husband. But guess what? It means the same thing. The word husband in the scriptures come from the Hebrew word Baal, which means master. It also means ish, which means husband. The word wife in Hebrew means Isha, which signifies her part in Ish, or her husband, or her man. This is why the same word for woman in the scriptures is the same word for wife. They have the same Hebrew word, Isha. And you'll see why this is important to know. And we will define not only what a husband is, but also what a wife is. And let us begin, because all this will be done in 40 minutes or less. You may ask yourself, well, why 40 minutes? Take 2 hours, take an hour and a half, take 3 hours, take all the time you need. Well, I'm here to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that it don't even take 40 minutes to prove the word of Yahweh. As a matter of fact, most times, the vast majority of the times, it would take considerably less than 40 minutes. In the book of Genesis, this is where we will start. Genesis, the 2nd chapter. And we're talking about a husband and a wife. In the book of Genesis 2, and this is what it says in the 18th verse. And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helpmeet for him. In other words, the very definition of a wife, the very definition of a woman is helpmeet, a helper. That's what she is, a helper. And it's okay because man is a helper also. He's a helpmate of Yahweh. So this is nothing negative at all. This is actually good. Furthermore, she was designed different than a man. And watch how she is designed so you can understand her role in marriage. Watch what it says. The 21st verse. And Yahweh. We'll start at the 20th verse. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him. And what is a helpmeet? A wife, a woman. Watch what it says. And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahweh had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And in the scriptures, you will never see where a woman is called a man or a man called a woman. These are two different words with two different meanings, two different origins altogether. Here it is, man was made from the dust of the earth, but woman, she was taken from man. She came from man. And then it says in the 23rd verse, and Adam said, this is now bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife. See, they said wife here, they said woman up there, but it's the same Hebrew word. And they shall be one flesh. So the goal, the expectation is that I don't want man to be alone. I'm going to give him a helpmate. And his helpmate is going to be called a woman or a wife. Either one you choose. Same Hebrew word. And why? Because she was taken out of man. And it's not good for him to be alone. So I'm going to get someone to help him. But whoever helps him, whoever becomes his wife, whoever this woman is, they must be one flesh. And it's the same desire that the Almighty wanted with man himself. His desire, his expectation is that you be one. And the Creator gave us the formula, the instructions, the knowledge to be one. And let me show you what that is. Because then and only then can you understand the relationship between a husband, who is the master, and the wife, who is the helpmate, the helper. And watch this relationship in the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter. And this is where the Creator asks a very important question of wisdom. And watch what this question is. And I want to know, do you have the answer? In the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter, the 3rd verse, it says, can two walk together except they be agreed? Can they walk together? Can they really be together, walk together except they be agreed? And the answer is no, they cannot. You might walk 2 years, 3 years. You might even walk 20 years. I done seen people walk 30 years together, but at some point in time, they split up. They broke apart. They went different ways because at the end of the day, how can two walk together except they be agreed? And we're trying to do the impossible. We're trying to walk together and not be agreed. We've accepted the fact that nobody agreed on everything 100%. This is what we tell ourselves. Well, why don't they? Do you think Yahweh wants you walking with him and you not agree with him? As a matter of fact, Yahweh said, if you walk contrary to him, he will walk contrary to you. Then ask yourself, if your husband is walking this way, you mean to tell me that you can walk the other way? Still be agreed and still be together? And the answer is no. This is the impossibility that we have conditioned our mind to believe. And then we're trying to figure out, well, why is the divorce rate in the black community so high? Well, the couples are not agreed. They don't even know the various terms that they're using that they were designed and made to live under, like husband and wife, like being married. Watch this. And I'm going to show you how they can be agreed and how the only way they can be agreed. In the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter, this is why the Creator said if we walk contrary to him, because this is his word that we're reading. And let's see if you can do this by walking in his word. Since the Creator told us, man don't live by bread only, but by every word of Yahweh does man live. So in the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter, this is what it says in the 16th verse, talking about a husband and a wife, their relationship. Unto the woman, he said, in other words, unto the wife, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. In other words, all the other times Yahweh will talk to Adam and tell Adam such and such and such, and then he will tell his wife. But this occasion was the first occasion and the only occasion where Yahweh went to the wife, to the woman in the beginning, and told her directly, your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall master, rule over you. And so a woman or wife must come to the understanding, will she walk contrary to Yah, or will she walk with him? Because to walk with Yah is to learn how to walk with your husband, because your desires must be to him. And every great woman in the scriptures learned this truth. Let me show you that. Genesis, the 16th chapter. I'm going to show you how they began to learn that this is the way in which they were to live. And as a result, you won't see divorces in the scriptures at all. In a couple places where you might think it's a divorce, and we can argue and debate it, they are few and far in between. Whereas today, divorce is rampant in our communities. Watch what it says. Genesis, the 16th chapter. The second and third verse. And Sarai said unto Abram, behold now, Yahweh have restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. He hearkened to his wife, who she told him to go into her maid to have children. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband, Abram, to be his wife. Now, why would a woman do that? Why would a woman give another woman to be wife to her husband, to her master? Well, because her desires was to him. And since her desires were to him, she knew what he wanted. She knew his desires. And she fulfilled his desire. That's what she was made and designed to do, to fulfill his desires, to be his helpmate. And not only Sarai. Watch this in the book of Genesis 29. Still talking about a husband and a wife. In the book of Genesis 29, I know most people say, well, we ain't doing that today. Well, why not? Why? Maybe this is why we have many of the problems in our community today, because we're not following the word of Yahweh. You say you believe in the Bible. You say you believe in the scriptures. You say you believe in spirituality, but you don't want to follow nothing the Most High said, nothing the Most High did, nothing the Most High showed. In the book of Genesis, the 29th chapter, the 32nd verse, this is what it says. And I start at 31. And when Yahweh saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bore a son. And she called his name Reuben. For she said, surely Yahweh had looked upon my affliction. Now, therefore, my husband will love me. In other words, her desires, her emotions was tied to her husband. And she knew, man, I want to have a child. I want to have a son for my husband. Because to have this son, even though I was hated, my husband will love me. Just by having a son for him. And then she wasn't finished. Watch the 34th verse. And she conceived again and bore a son and said, now this time my husband will be joined unto me because I bore him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. In other words, still, no matter how many sons she had, she knew it was only for the desires that she had for her husband. Even in the 35th verse. And she conceived again and bore a son, and she said, now will I praise Yahweh. Therefore she called his name Yehuda and left barren. And why? Now she praising the Most High because she consistently is being shown that she has favor with the Most High. But why did she have favor with the Most High? Because the Most High seen that her desires was to her husband. And this is what she was created for. She was created and commanded that her desires should be to her husband, and he shall rule over her. Furthermore, in the book of Genesis, the 30th chapter, watch what this says. Because she wasn't finished. The 15th verse. And she said unto her, is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. And Elohim hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob the 5th son. Of course, she had 6 sons in total with Jacob. But why? Because her desires was to her husband. And today, our desires is to our own mind, to our own heart, to our own ideologies, to our own wants and needs. And this is totally against the Most High. Totally. In the book of Genesis 30, still 30. Watch what it says. Speaking of Rachel, because she desired her husband ultimately. In the very first verse. And And when Raquel saw that she bore Jacob no children, Raquel envied her sister. In other words, now she's getting envious, she's getting jealous because the Almighty restrained her. Because really her desires wasn't to her husband. So guess what she did? And said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Raquel and said, am I in Elohim's stead, who have withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? Only Yahweh can stop you from having children. Only Yahweh can bless you to have children. And she said, behold, my maid Bilhah, go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. And she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife, and Jacob went in unto her, and Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. In other words, now her desires to her husband. Now she understands or beginning to understand the relationship between a husband and a wife. Watch what it says. 6th verse. And Raquel said, Elohim have judged me, because she knew ultimately in the end it was about her. And have also heard my voice, and have given me a son, therefore called she his name Dan. And Bilhah Raquel's maid conceived again, and bore Jacob a second son. And Raquel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. In other words, all this is happening because their desires to their husband. And their desire had to be to their husband. And why? Because how can two walk together lest they be agreed? You got to learn how to walk together. And to walk together, your desire must be to your husband, and he shall rule over thee. How much should your desires be to your husband? Well, let me show you. In the book of Proverbs, the 12th chapter. Watch what it says. Proverbs 12. In the book of Proverbs, the 12th chapter, this is what it says. And I will read again the 4th verse. A virtuous woman, which means, and I told you the same word for woman is wife, is a crown to her husband. Who is her husband? Her master. But she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. And that's what we have today. The men is not going to tell you. But many of them walk in shame. And why? Because they don't look good enough. They don't make enough money. They walk in shame because they inferior and jealous of another man. No. They walk in shame because of their wife, who refuse to honor their master. Watch what it says in the book of Proverbs, the 31st chapter. I just want you to see this. Proverbs 31. The relationship of a husband and a wife. In the book of Proverbs 31. And watch this. The 10th and 11th verse. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband do safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. And why? How can a woman not do her husband no evil at all? All the days of her life, just do him good. One whose desires is to their husband. Because once your desires to your husband, you'll never have to do him evil. You might say, well, what if he's an evil man? What if he do evil things? That's on him. That's not on you. What's on you is what you do. What's on you is what you was made, commanded, and designed to do. And that's what you have to learn to do. You have to learn to be you and not him. And you let the Creator, his master, take care of him. Watch this in this Proverbs 31, the 23rd verse, talking about the relationship between a husband and a wife. It says her husband is known in the gates. When he said that among the elders of the land, what is he known for? As the scripture said, a virtuous woman is a crown to her husband. In other words, he's known as the king, as the chief, as the head, as the ruler. But not so with a wife that make his bones ashamed. Either known, either way, you're going to be known. Watch what it says. The 28th verse. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also. And he praises her. And why? Because she desires him. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful. Beauty is vain. But a woman or a wife that feareth Yahweh, she shall be praised. So it's understandable to praise this type of wife, this type of woman. But how can you praise one who don't even believe that her husband is her master? Who don't even believe she's supposed to be his helpmate? Don't even believe in the fabric in which she was made from. And what is that? That she is made from man himself. The relationship between a husband and a wife. And watch this, last scripture. Still in Proverbs 31. The first verse. The words of King Lemuel. The prophecy that his mother told him. We're going to talk about a father and a mother. But watch what it says. What, my son? And what the son of my womb? And what the son of my vows? Give not thy strength unto your woman or wife, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. Brothers who are called a husband, you must retain your strength. Not give it up, and walk with the Creator so that your wife, your helper, can learn to walk with you. How can two walk together lest they be agreed? Until our next lesson, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.